Welcome back to another episode of Naps and Taps. Apologies for the delay, but good to be back.
No one cares. No one cares.
What's been, to our 5 subscribers who've been hanging out for the latest episode. The rest of the internet and general civilian population
Oblivious.
quite happy that Naps and Taps didn't go on. So what's been going on? What's news?
We're blue belts.
I was about to say you ruined like the little. I was going to lead into it. I was going to tease it, but I was going to go there with like a little. Good thing we didn't call it White Belt Life after all, because
by episode 4 we'd be
ta-da!
Yeah.
Blue belts.
One of us was really expecting it. One of us was a real surprise. I'm not going to say who.
I'll say who. I'll relive it gladly.
Yeah.
We were sitting there like the grading starts. And
promotions.
Promotions, start. Grading's already happened, obviously.
Yeah.
We're both sitting there having a wee chat, and you're like, man, I better get my blue belt. Or else I'm going to kill someone. I'm going to kill myself. And I'm like, well, I know I'm probably not getting promoted. So like, I chilled. Actually, like, I got
you got it first because your name was alphabetical.
That was so funny. Like,
I was like, what the fuck?
I let out like an audible like what? But and we were both kind of like, because the head coach of our school, George, like gave this big speech before to more of the people who weren't going to get their promotions that day. He's like, there's a lot of classes.
Enjoy the process.
Yeah.
The Jiu-Jitsu, the journey is not the belt collar, This is my George, man. Don't kill me.
You better be careful if you're going to be in one of his classes soon.
He was very nice.
No, but so. I was sitting there going, is this guy going to learn how the alphabet works? Because like they were going through everyone, but you were like still kind of simmering as it was going. You're like, I better get my belt. I'm like, hey homie, they're not up to M yet. Like, learn, relax. Yeah. If they go past M, then maybe you can like. But yeah, anyway, for me, my experience was very different. Like he'd given the whole speech of like sometimes we like make mistakes. Because the classes are so big, maybe if you were due a promotion, you might get it in the next week or so, like kind of chill. And then when my name got read out, I was like, did they make a mistake the other way? Did they confuse someone else for me?
Well, that's totally a possibility.
Yeah.
It can totally. I mean, they're not. Like,
but whatever,
CIA.
I've got it now. I'm keeping it.
Yeah.
No, but I kind of like after the class, I was so. After the ceremony, I was so shocked that I didn't like straight up say, "Did you guys make a mistake?" But I went fishing for info. Like I went up to Vince, who's kind of the coach I've worked the most recently with in the white belt classes, and sort of kind of said, "Oh, I was really actually surprised to get this," and that was in relation to another thing I'll tell the audience about, but I was like, I was really surprised to get this. So yeah, that's why I was a bit shocked and surprised. And Vince said, just because you're surprised and weren't expecting it doesn't mean you're ready. And I'm like, okay, well I'm like, okay, I still have imposter syndrome here, but if the coach I've been working with the most time says I'm ready, go upstairs, I'm like, okay, guess I'm a blue belt now. And it started to sink in actually after that conversation.
Most importantly, like, how do you feel? Like, how do you feel as a blue? Like, now that you've been upstairs, like, do you feel like? I mean, I still feel like I'm not ready. But then again, the only way to get ready is to be amongst the beasts.
I definitely feel like the new kid in class for sure.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Like I haven't even come close to. Well, I came close to maybe tapping someone, but I just couldn't get. Anyway, that's another story.
Well, upstairs, some blue belt.
But he was like another blue belt, a white belt. It was unbelievable, actually. We were kind of like tussling, and we were like facing each other. He went for a triangle, which he missed, and I went for a stack pass. But he was trying to go for spider while I was trying to go for the stack, and he grabbed like my right sleeve. And I've just never, like, I think I was talking to you about it on Saturday, I've never had someone hold my sleeve for that long. Like, I couldn't get rid of it. Even got to the point where I still, because my arms were longer than his, I got to the point where I still got both arms around for the stack, like, had double stack, just trying to put pressure on him. And, like, I successfully managed to, I got this arm free, but I used the pressure to pass to this side. It's probably the first mistake. I probably should have passed to the side where he had my hand.
This story ends with you submitting the guy?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It ends up with him getting out of this and submitting me ultimately.
Okay.
But like, I got him into.
This is not a good setup for a submission.
No. I used the stack pass, got into almost side control because I had like my two knees in side control position. Yeah. Had this arm underneath with like a hand on the collar.
Crossface.
Yeah, had half of the crossface. Obviously, had the under half of the crossface.
Yeah.
But he still had this arm held.
Who was a blue belt?
I don't know, like a small Asian dude. I don't know his name. I don't think I've actually.
Blue belt.
Yeah, he's like a one stripe blue belt though. So
it might be Tommy, the guy who beat me the first.
Yeah, maybe. Oh no, actually he wasn't a one stripe. I think he's another recent promotion, which is why I managed to be even with him actually. And I just couldn't get this arm free. Like it got to the point where I was like, I took this knee out of side control and was like doing that with it, and then I put this but then I could start feeling him to wiggle free, and I think probably the point is his technique's probably a lot better than mine, but I was just like physically stronger, so I was like, so I got back to having my two knees where they're meant to be and was holding him in with the one neck, and then I was like using this on his leg and using everything, and then just sometimes just brute force, and I was just like I couldn't get his damn fingers off, and it got to the point where he started with like the grip on the outside and the thumb in, and the grips were like, he was holding it legally, I'm just doing it backwards in my head, but it got to the point where like his hand was like that flattened out and he was like holding on with this part of his fingers, but I couldn't get rid of him, and then got to the point where like my gi actually started getting untucked from my belt, and he had it like that. I was just like, why on earth? Like, but then he eventually managed to get out of side control. I can't remember the rest of it, becomes a blur, and then like a minute later he managed to tap me, but it felt like for 2 minutes he just had that arm like a dog on a bone, and I couldn't get rid of it. But
some people are a little too stubborn. Or something. Your fingers just get so.
Well, that's the thing. I haven't been to class since Saturday, and I'd be interested to see if that dude's actually rolling it all this week. Because it must be to the point where he's like, "Well, I submitted the guy, but now my fingers are fucked, and I can't roll for 2 weeks." But yeah, so that was. We're getting away from this, but that's how I'm going to use this as a pointer for the rest of the episode. But I was so surprised you remember this. I was the one dude who now the whole jiu-jitsu school knows me as the guy who got his promotion with his socks on. I was like, remember I was in my gi for the team photo, and like I had socks on. I was thinking they wouldn't be seen because of the team photo with so many people bunched together. The photographer's like, everyone take your if you've got socks on, take your socks off. So I took them off, put them behind me, and then for the photo it looked all nice, and then the promotion started, and I was like, well, I'm definitely not getting promoted and my feet are cold, so back on go the socks. And then I got promoted. I was like, what? I was really surprised. And then I got up there, walked up, and like Josh, the director of the school, was like, what are you doing? Come on, this better be your last white belt mistake. That's what he said to me. Mike, who coaches there, was like, well, good thing he didn't call the podcast White Belt Life. And I told him and one of the other coaches it was called Naps and Taps. So always promoting.
Something funny happened between me and Mike. So we were rolling yesterday, and like now because I'm super defensive. I'm super reactive player now at jiu-jitsu. So I was in his guard. And I wasn't moving. I wasn't trying to pass. I was just trying to survive in his guard. So I was just like holding him down like that, posture, and just staring at his eyes. Just staring into him. He was like, don't look at me like that, dude. This is weird. He was like, this is so weird. I was like, oh, sorry. Because I must have been like,
getting a little too romantic on the mat.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, no, look at my chest. Don't look at me in the eyes. This is so weird.
Well, there you go. Don't go asking for people's phone numbers after the mats. I actually read an article that was like a guideline to like rolling with the opposite sex and etiquette for that.
Oh yeah, those I saw some funny videos. I don't know.
So I haven't seen the videos.
Guidelines.
Yeah. It's basically like some simple rules, like don't ask for a girl's phone number on the mats. And
or while mounted.
yeah, exactly. I got a girlfriend who doesn't do jiu-jitsu anyway, so at least I don't need to read those etiquette rules.
I actually hooked up with a few girls. One girl really.
Yeah.
A white belt girl. She never came
from TBJJ or.
I probably shouldn't say her name.
Did you just about say she gave up after a 30-day trial? She was like, I hooked up with that dude, and now I'm not signing up.
Shit. Like you never know if it's because of you, right?
Yeah.
And like she never came back, so.
Wow,
I don't know.
Probably that's already made the final edit, but we
could have been me.
Hopefully, no one from the gym's going to watch this, or else they're going to come after you and be like, "Stop scaring! Wait for them to sign up before you scare them away." Josh is going to come down and be like, "We're going to have a word with you."
I know for a fact that there's another girl who's shown significant interest. You kind of know.
Yeah.
You know, when a girl's into you, they don't make it a secret.
Yeah.
There was another girl that was really, but I wasn't that into her. But then there was this other girl that I hooked up with that this other guy in our gym has shown tremendous interest in.
Yeah.
Like you kind of just know that he was during competitions. You weren't there yet. During last year's competitions, he would just like be her bag man, you know.
He's just doing the puppy dog thing. Like,
holding her bags and waters, and even though they weren't like dating or anything, it was that. And then like I ended up hooking up with her after
incestuous world of a BJJ gym. A good buddy of mine's actually married to like a girl that he met through his gym.
I mean, there's a lot of relationships happening in BJJ, so like it's kind of a.
I'd almost like I don't love my girlfriend, hoping I stay with her forever. If she was to like wake up one day and realize what a tremendous mistake she's making with her life, and I became single, I would probably still try to avoid like the gym business, just because like
don't shit what you eat. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't fish off the company wharf and all that. So
I never heard that one.
Yeah, that sort of shit, you know. So
it makes sense, but then again. So many, like, you know how a lot
you've got something in common. You spend half your time there,
exactly. And you know how so many people are like, "Oh, online dating is so bad. You don't know where you meet." And a lot of people's sort of advice to that is, "Oh, go join some activity groups."
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
and try to meet someone with a common mutual activity or a passion hobby. And this is the ideal thing.
Yeah,
because you're fucking physical contact. 24/7. I mean, not 24, but like basically physical contact. You get to know each other's bodies a lot, very well, and you know it's. Like, I love athletic girls, you know, I love sporty girls. You know, I don't like girls who are just all dainty and, you know, all nails and flowery stuff. Like, an athletic girl is very attractive to me. Yeah,
exactly.
It should be to many people.
Probably a lot of people who get into the sport.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's. I feel this is a topic that could probably get me in trouble, despite me reiterating that I love my girlfriend and I'm not looking elsewhere and I never cheat on her. And you know, it's still a topic that could get me in trouble, even with all those iterations. So we're going to swiftly move on. Shall we do a fight breakdown?
Okay, should we do my fight breakdown or the Holloway breakdown?
We'll start with you. We'll start with you and move our way up.
Should we tell the audience about like give them a little background?
Definitely.
About
you're the one who is on the mat, so you break it down.
Toronto BJJ. Pretty much in-house or affiliate gym annual competition, and everybody, all the white belts and blue belts, mostly white belts and blue belts, compete with everybody. And I got matched up with this beast of a competitor in the first round, and we can just do a quick. But you started filming. Not exactly in the top. Right?
I got there late and spent like a few minutes walking around trying to find you, but you're already on the mat, so I got there like 45 minutes later than I was anticipating to be because fucking the TTC, that's why. So instead of, how long was your fight actually?
It was the whole, I never tapped, so it was the whole 5 minutes.
So it's a 5 minute round, so there's about 310 worth of video footage there, including afterwards, so I probably got there about halfway through your fight. So we got a fight commentary for half a fight, and that basically keeps with the theme of the half-assed nature of this podcast.
I got a bit of the bit of the beginning on another video. My girlfriend or someone else took a video, so we can do. Well, but basically, I tried to play my game, which was a mistake because I felt like he kind of baited me into pulling guard. That guy was just such a heavy player.
That guy was a beast, though. Like when I saw you, I did get there when the fight was still on its feet, but it just took me time to get my camera out of the bag and turn it on, etc. And when I saw you two standing there, I was like, are those two really the same weight class? Like,
exactly. I was like, this guy's above 180. Because I'm 179.
Yeah.
You know, with the gi.
Well, I heard like they weren't even actually weighing people, right? They're just pretty much like, I will trust you to be on your weight. And that guy was probably, maybe he weighed under 180 pounds once, but not this week. Not within 2 weeks of that fight.
Yeah, he was so strong, and I tried to pull guard, and I kept my guard on him or open guard on him for as long as I could, but then ultimately he just he was so heavy, his top game was so good that he just eventually passed. You can kind of see.
Well, let's watch this shit either way. Are we starting from like the beginning of your one?
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah, this is. See, I'm trying to, but his top game is so heavy. His knees, he's just kind of really vicious. And now he's pretty much passed.
Yeah,
he's passed. And I tried to hip escape out, and I tried to do this. I almost had him in a reversal once.
Well, it kind of looked like you were trying to go. Were you trying to go for a triangle there, but you just didn't realize exactly how sideways you really were?
Well, I've gotten people with a triangle that way.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, when you have someone...
Are you hoping you just get the leg up and they turn into it?
No. It's like when someone has your side control, right?
Yeah.
They have a cross... If you can break their crossface grip, their underhook,
yeah.
you can grab their arm and you can sort of extend it, and then there's their heads right here.
Yeah.
You know? And then you just kind of get your legs over.
Yeah, but when you threw that leg over, like,
Yeah.
you two were pretty much like 90 degrees as opposed to even anywhere else.
I was just hoping that he would get into it or trying to catch. You know, you basically have to catch the guy.
Yeah.
You know, so, but, you know, he was, either he knew about it and he defended well, or he was just so strong that he couldn't possibly fall.
Do you do much, like I love when I train no-gi, like one of my favorite moves is like a guillotine, but like but it's really hard to get with a gi, but I kind of like almost that one, when they're in side control like that, it's almost worth like at least throwing the arm under his chin, make him think about it for where he's going to go from side control.
Obfuscation is Vince's favorite word.
Yeah.
He always like, it's about trying to like make them think, make them make a mistake and all that. Yeah. So we can just see, for most of the match, I was under and I was just trying to survive. But
I see like this one, he kind of is really at least like you did about as well as he can do to sort of turtle up and not let him straighten you.
Yeah, I lost by points a lot. It was like 20-0. But in my mind, I kind of won because I didn't lose. You know what I mean? I didn't get tapped out.
Well, the other thing that is worth thinking about is, like, I don't know how this other guy's fights went, but you saw the final that he won as well, right?
Yeah, he won the whole thing. He won the whole division.
It's like you got like the raw end, you got like the short end of the stick by having to get the guy who wins the division first up, and with it just being elimination instead of round robin.
Exactly.
And like, to be fair, like we said, he didn't manage to tap you, but like that. He got some dude with like a really vicious armbar.
Yeah, the last guy.
I think that dude might have even been at our gym.
Yeah, I know him.
So like, I kind of like, I did well to get back to your side here.
Yeah.
See, it's nice.
I know. Like right here. I know this armbar is coming. Like when I was here, because he. Right there, when I felt his knee on the back of my neck and the shoulder press, I know that he's gonna either try to take my back or go for an arm.
Well, it's you've got really good alternatives either way, because like if you kind of try and like, you know, if you turn away from him, you're turning your back into him. Yeah. But it's probably like, but if you're better off. With him with him mounting you, you're going to turn into him. But even then, you're going to have him mounting you, and then you've got to find a sweep from there.
The thing is, with a lot of white belts, with their armbar finishes aren't the tightest.
Yeah.
So when they just they just sit back, there's a lot of space.
Yeah.
You know, and I timed. It's all about like timing, right? Because I can't beat the guy brute force. So I kind of like need to see the windows and trying to outsmart. And when he went for the back, I just did like quick. One of these escapes, and I freed my arm, and then he came right back. You can see, he's going for my arm. He's going for the armor. He's gonna swing his leg over. Boom, boom. And then I did a quick.
Yeah, he did well to get out because that's how he won the final with an armbar, and it was vicious. Like he was. It's not like,
and then he just real strong, and then I
think you're probably pretty gassed by this point from him spending so much of the fight on top, right? Because I remember watching it live the way he did escape it, and he had like a lot of time to walk around and sort of get back into a dominant position. And you're still kind of lying there like, fuck, what do I do now?
Yeah, he had so many submission attempts. Yeah. He was definitely the better fighter, but he couldn't finish me. You know?
Yeah,
he just couldn't finish me. Now he's mounted again.
Well, you can
for me, at this point, I already gave up on winning.
Yeah,
you know, I'm not gonna win, so I'm just not gonna lose. I'm gonna focus on not losing.
Yeah. Yeah. See, for me, I don't know. I think I've been getting myself. It's a hard decision to make because like the upstairs, you know, I see why you're just
like right here. I felt him do that thing with the arm. He was trying something, and then I tried to do a trap. Arm and bridge, but he was just so heavy.
But it's also he
was just so heavy.
He's really high up on you when you're trying to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of it's much easier for me to watch it and say it, but you almost need to like hip escape up.
Yeah,
and then
I need to bridge him up.
Load him up. Not even bridge him up from this position because he's so high up on you. Like you need to hip escape to get him lower on you.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. I need to scoot up.
Yeah, you need to scoot up and like see if you can at least get the start of getting a knee in there.
Yeah, I need better hip connection.
But you're doing what like you're
trying.
Yeah.
He was a little lower this time, a little bit.
Yeah,
because he did the thing with his legs. He tried to grapevine me.
Yeah,
with his legs.
But you're kind of. Yeah. But I see. Yeah, but you're kind of like you're working all right with it to at least like sometimes when I'm in that position I'm trying to like it's hard to describe, but I'm like almost trying to like wrap around and like extend their leg downwards so that they're not like so that it's breaking their posture from the lower half.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh well, you could give yourself like a moral silver or bronze medal for lasting long. And get like he won the final in like a little over a minute. As opposed to
it was like the most watched fight in the whole
I felt bad for the dude from our gym because like it was the last fight of the day and everyone's still standing around. They've all gotten changed and they're getting ready for the team photo.
Yeah.
So that fight must have had like 200 people watching it, whereas most other fights throughout the day have got like a dozen or so, maybe.
And I rode with that guy a few times, and like I know for a fact that I was better than him. I don't know about him now, but I was better than him. And I don't think he got promoted. He's still a white belt.
Unfortunately, you don't. You can give yourself a moral silver medal for that, but it's still not on your bedroom wall, unfortunately.
Yeah, luck of the draw.
Yeah, that sucks with tournaments. Like that's kind of like I didn't realize. I think are there any other all tournaments in Ontario? They're all just straight. Loads. But are they all straight knockout like that, or are there somewhere?
Probably,
because I remember like I did a trial at another gym across town.
How else would they do it?
But yeah, it's hard to fit them all in. But I did a trial at like another gym before I joined Toronto BJJ Open Mat.
Okay, is that any good? Where is that?
I've already spoken about this on the podcast before, but it's not bad. Like they've got good, knowledgeable instructors, but Toronto BJJ is better. Like I'm not going to come on the podcast and shit on it, but I just found one that suited me better due to Toronto BJJ's got a better location for me, and they've got so many more. Like some of the classes with at Open Mat are taught by like a black belt who's really knowledgeable, and some of them are taught by like a purple belt or a brown belt. But Toronto BJJ, it's just got overkill of black belts. Like they've got black belts running those beginner white belt classes, and the location was also an ultimate factor, and also the 2 floors helped. Like Open Mat got really crowded when I was trying out there, but I think if other
do they have a 30-day as well?
Yeah, I think they've got a 30-day trial.
Are all gyms pretty much 30 days?
Yeah, they've got a 30-day trial as well. So I did one there, and like
if you just jump around 30 days.
You could do that if you wanted to, I guess. But I think a lot of them do what Toronto BJJ does. Like they have like an early bird discount if you join during the first half of your trial period or something like that. So that tries to stop people from doing that. But yeah, I'm not going to shit on it. It would certainly and also like they actually do offer Muay Thai classes, etc. as well. So I was considering there because because I was considering joining there because I like training in both. They have like a system where it's like tiered. You can pay to just be a Muay Thai member, or pay to just be a BJJ member, or you can pay to be able to access both. Much like how TBJJ has like the access it as many times as you want in a week, or the 3 times a week maximum, which is what I'm on still. But
they're pretty lax about that too. Sometimes I've gone 4 and they never said anything.
I think because it depends. Like they told me when I joined up that within a 2-week period, like say if I only go twice this week, I can go 4 next. But it kind of is only meant to be for a 2-week period. But yeah, you're probably right. Like it probably just depends on what sort of mood the person at the counter is on the day, whether they like you or not. But officially, I haven't actually broken the rules of mine yet, but who knows. So what was I going to say before that? Shit, I can't remember. Give me another topic.
So let's talk about the UFC.
Yeah, of course. I was there. I guess you found a place to watch it this time.
Yeah.
It was probably the best fight card of the year, and it happened to be the one I could get along to in terms of like there was no McGregor impact or headline grabber, but I think all the fights from top to bottom were all incredible. Because I was so far, I wasn't far.
How was the
away.
experience?
The experience was amazing. Like, I mean, I've been to a few different live events, and this one held up. Like, that was just as good in terms of like. I think the UFC runs a pretty tight ship. It's not like, I think their production team must travel around with them. Like, it's not like. It's going to have different production values, whether it's in Sacramento or San Antonio or Toronto. It's all going to be the same production values, and of course, it's Bruce Buffer everywhere, down to the details where those ring girls travel. Which is crazy to me. Like, you can't find a girl in Toronto who looks good in a bikini and can hold a number above her head. You can probably find thousands of them.
I think it's just a matter of employment contracts and stuff, you know.
Maybe it could be all sorts of things, or maybe like, you know, all those UFC girls have Instagram accounts and like and Facebook pages, and it's just another way to build the following. Yeah. A girl I know from back in New Zealand, it's like she was an American who used to like
ring girl.
No. She like she's really good friends with like a ring girl, and she's told me about all the sweet parties and shit she's been invited to.
Yeah, I think that must be like a cheerleader, ring girl. They must have an interesting life.
Yeah, I can imagine. But like
an NBA dancer.
I was kind of shocked that like the UFC has full-time ones that travel with them, and like, you know, at fan expos people will be like lining up to get photos with them too. As
do the
fighters.
Do the cheerleaders travel with the teams, the sports teams?
Sports teams?
NBA.
No,
they don't.
It's typically like they just do their home games.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, those UFC ring girls, that's probably the best gig in the game, because like, you know, they get to travel to Toronto.
Yeah, you know why? Because it's only just the one or two girls, right? Because the cheerleading, it's a whole squad.
Yeah,
it's like 20.
They have 3 girls at any one fight night or pay-per-view, but I think there is more than 3 on their rotation.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like I've got some buddies who are so into UFC that like he can tell you like the names of all the
the ring girls.
Yeah, of all the girls. It's like, well, I guess if you watch enough events, like they're already like, there's one whose name I can remember, but I can't pronounce it, so I'm just going to pretend I can't remember any of them, because I don't want to get caught out with it. But let's talk more about the fights in a bit, because as per usual, my camera's going to run out of recording time. Okay. So we're back. One thing I couldn't tell from my seats, like I had pretty good seats. We were like 3 rows back on the top tier, and in the part like
it looked far, like because. Like the human eye, it looks better if you're there, but for me seeing your video, it looks really far.
Yeah, it was like it was definitely better the human eye. Yeah. Like it was perfect. Like I didn't need to. Maybe for any time the fights were standing up and it was striking, you could watch it live without looking at any of the TV screens, and the view was really good.
Can you imagine being fucking ringside? That
would be incredible. I want to do that one day. I want to get
how much would
someone's blood.
Like 500.
Yeah, thousands maybe even for that close. But
and also depending on who's fighting.
But yeah, so we were about 3 rows back on the top tier, but of course, like if the octagon's here and it curves around, we were at the part that was actually closest to the octagon, so it was actually pretty.
What was good. T-City thinking? Why didn't he just fucking try to take him down?
Well, there were two
striking match with Holloway.
Yeah, it's not the best game plan. I think he probably who was I think because he knocked out someone. I'm starting to forget now. I'm forgetting my stats.
Ortega knocked out someone.
Yeah, Ortega knocked out someone, so he probably thinks he can win other fights on his feet, which is like, you know, this.
That's the. What do you call it?
The stubbornness of some fighters. They always want to prove a point.
Exactly. That's the Achilles heel of a lot of fighters.
Yeah.
That they're really good at one thing. I think they do the thing that they're not good at on purpose. Like they want to mind fuck themselves.
Yeah.
Be like, oh yeah, I'm this fucking like. But then the people who win are Khabib, who are like, I'm this fucking bear wrestling Russian,
and you can't do anything about it.
You can't do anything about it. I'm just gonna lock you down. But the other people are like, Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
She became the queen of the world, and then decided to be a striker.
Yeah.
You know.
It didn't work out well for her at the time.
Yeah.
But no, what I was trying to get at there is like, I could like follow the fights fine with the striking, and like when it got to grappling, I would have to like go to the
TV,
to the big screen to like see the intricacies of it. But what I couldn't tell was, could you see on TV just how closed up Ortega's eye was?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't see from where I was just how closed up it was at all. And
his nose was broken too.
Yeah, because like. How early in the fight was his eye starting to look really closed up?
That I don't know, because you can't really tell. But but you know, when the whistle blew, you can just see. Yeah. Oh yeah,
because I saw the photos of him sitting in his corner, which were obviously taken from when the doctor decided to stop the fight, and. You know, his eyes completely closed up, and he really got dominated in that 4th round as well. And I was kind of like, how
What was Holloway's first name again? Tim?
Max.
Max, oh, yeah. Tim Holloway's a basketball player.
Yeah. I was like, how early in the fight did his eyes close up? Because I was like, well, maybe that'd explain how badly he got dominated in the 4th. If you only got one eye, your depth perception's shot to shit, and to be trying to fight a world-class striker when you've got no depth perception is not going to be fun for anyone.
I think what would be a good idea to train for fighters is to fight in the dark.
Yeah.
You know? Because with all the fucking lights that's bothering you, the noise, and you're probably going to get sweat and blood in your eyes anyway, you have to rely on your other senses.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I was coach and I was like Rocky and all that shit, I'd be like, you know how all these coaches have unorthodox.
I was about to say, after you've done with like beating up a cow carcass, we're now going to turn off the lights.
Exactly. So like all these unorthodox training methods that will help fighters. Like I think maybe turning off the lights or flashing lights, making distractions, and like because that's a huge part of the fight that probably a lot of fighters don't focus on a lot.
Well, anytime you can replicate match day experience is probably going to be good for you. But I guess for these guys, it's probably more like you hope that just because it's their first fight in the UFC, you hope they've been on a few other fight cards and like had the experience to go with it. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. You could put them into like an escape room.
Yeah, exactly. Like a dark room, flashing lights to get them accustomed to it. Just like in an airplane. You know how when planes land, they have to turn off the lights so that your eyes get accustomed to. You know why they turn off the lights, right?
No.
It's so that in case of an emergency, all the passengers can run outside the plane without worrying about their eyes not being able to adjust to the light. That's actually a plane policy. That when you land at night, you have to turn off all the lights.
Yeah, that's interesting. Including
my girlfriend worked for Expedia, and she knows all these little rules that airplanes.
Yeah. That's funny. Oh, hopefully I won't need to crash. Or there was a time I think I mentioned on this. Did I mention on the podcast before how I was worried that someone's big shit was going to get a plane turned around?
What?
When I went to New York, about
oh my god!
I think I already told that story on this podcast.
Lavatories are rank.
About how like some guy had, and the flight's only like an hour and a half between Toronto and New York. Some guy had a dump on like the flight from Toronto to New York, and I only had one bathroom on it, and like the guy ducked out of the toilet, and this British guy in like a suit, sort of business traveller type, like poked his head, and he's like, "Oh, what the fuck is that?" And he's like, all mad, and he like called the flight attendant over, and I'm like, homie, wait until we're after the halfway point or else she's going to turn us around. And so the flight attendant had to come with like jugs of water and like manually pour water on it until it like, because it wasn't one of those ones where it sucks it all out, like it was just literally like a Portaloo toilet
on a plane.
Yeah, basically.
What kind of fucking Ryanair?
Fly Porter. Portaloos. Portaloos, that's what it is. Portaloos is a New Zealand term for like the fucking toilets you get at festivals, those plastic rank ones.
That's the worst part.
Yeah, so she came with like jugs of water and poured it over the shit and toilet paper, and thankfully it flushed away, or else we would have been turned back to Toronto, because legally, if there's no no matter how short the flight is, there's like you can't. And maybe
but then if you have to turn back, then you're still on. It's not like people are not going to need to.
But I guess like they just run. They just run the calculation of like, if
it's the closest. Yeah,
exactly. There's an hour to. But I've heard of like flights in the US getting like grounded in the middle of the country because of the toilets breaking as well. So anyway. I don't know what much. What that guy's hangover dump on our flight has to do with the UFC. So props to Brian Ortega for taking it. There was a record in that fight for the most significant strikes landed, and like even Max Holloway was like, well, it's half my record. Why do you think it is
that he just didn't try to do his jiu-jitsu?
I don't know. I think
really just stubbornness.
Maybe
none of his coaches was like, maybe you should do all the jiu-jitsu that you know. Maybe
it was probably just a case of like Holloway was like
impossible
good enough to not let it become that kind of fight. Like I think for most submission artists, they're at least going to, even like Daniel Cormier is the same. They're at least going to want to set up takedowns with strikes, because like what are you going to do if you shoot at Max Holloway's legs without setting it up? He's just going to knee you in the face, and that's going to be no fun for you either. So it needs to be set up with strikes, but he's just getting so dominated by the strikes that it couldn't happen. And then there were a couple of times in the fight where, like you'll remember, where Max actually knocked Ortega down, and like instead Max was like smart enough to not go for the ground and pound, because or as soon as there were two times where I saw that Holloway started maybe thinking about looking for the ground and pound, and instead of actually going for it, he could kind of see like instead of Ortega defending himself or like trying to strike back, Ortega was kind of trying to like grab and like already was thinking, all right, this is about to come into my world, and Holloway was smart enough to be like, if I go for the ground and pound, I'm going to end up wearing this guy like a backpack.
Do you know who Sakuraba is? Do you know?
No, I got no idea. So.
He's one of the earlier UFC fighters. He's known as the Gracie Killer.
Yeah.
The Gracie Hunter.
Anyway, keep on telling me about this Gracie Killer.
Okay, so Sakuraba is this Gracie Killer. When the Gracies were trying to make a name for themselves, they sent all their best sons, like Hoyler, Hoyce, Henzo, like at Sakuraba, because he was like the Japanese. You know, he knew Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and he was like the Japanese guy, and none of them could beat Sakuraba. Sakuraba beat them all.
Oh yeah, I've seen Roots of Fight has a T-shirt that's one of the fights for him versus one of the Gracies. Yeah. So.
And like the thing is, he's just really good on the ground, but he's just this monstrosity of a striker too. And Hoyler, when he fought Sakuraba, he got Kimura'd, I think, by Sakuraba. And for a lot of the time, for most of the fight, Hoyler was on the ground going like this to Sakuraba, like come down. But Sakuraba's jiu-jitsu was still better than Hoyler. So crazy.
So that's like, you know, Ortega was looking for it, but he just couldn't get it. And you know, there were a couple of times where like after Max knocked him down, instead of going in for the kill, he like kind of stepped back and was like, "Oh well, you have to stand up now." Because of course, like the thing it's tilted towards strikers because it starts standing, and of course, in that sort of situation, the striker has got the option to knock someone down and not follow up with a ground and pound.
It's for sure tilted against strikers because you know why? Because of the fucking gloves.
Yeah,
you know, like the gloves make strikes so much worse than they are. There are a lot of rules in UFC that makes jiu-jitsu a lot more difficult than it actually is. Like you can't up kick.
Yeah.
You know, you like being on the ground. If you up kick, that's a deadly. If you get kicked in the face, like when someone's on the ground like that, one kick and it's over. Yeah. You know, probably your life is over. Yeah. You know, that's what I meant. But like now with there's no up kicks and and with gloves, striking takes the cake every time. You know, it's like 70-30 now.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what people want. Oh, that's what the general public is more interested in.
Yeah,
is striking and street brawls. But yeah, so there's that. Valentina and Joanna was a really good fight. That was I thought that Valentina got the decision and she deserved it. Joanna, I think, wants to go back to strawweight now, which is probably a wise decision because, like, speaking of fighters, one being so much bigger than the other, on fight day, like, Valentina looked huge compared to Joanna. Just, I guess, like, Joanna a much easier cut. That's Valentina's now 4-0 against her because, well, if you count 3 Thai boxing fights over 10 years ago, and now the first time they've had to run it back in their MMA careers. So 3-0 in Thai boxing, 1-0 in MMA. Just a bigger girl and just such a fucking girl who, like, if Khabib's known for wrestling bears, she's known for kicking tree trunks with her bare feet. She's incredible. Good to see her get gold at 125. I think the last time that she fought Nunes at 135, she probably deserved to win but lost on decision. So long time coming for her to have some UFC gold. That was a sick fight. Trying to remember off the top, I'm starting to get mental blanks. You saw Jimmy Manoa, who lost to, who was the guy that beat Jimmy Manoa on 2-3-1? That was the first fight of the pay-per-view. Absolute war. Potential fight of the night, and the Canada represented pretty well. I think both Canadian fighters on the prelims and main card won, including the Spartan, the Greek guy with the name I can't pronounce to save myself, got a decision win. So yeah, there's that. It was a good card. What other fights did you actually watch?
Just our Ortega.
Oh, you just watched your dude?
Yeah.
Trying to get BJJ representation. Well, the rest of the card was awesome, so it's like
so depressing to see jiu-jitsu lose like that.
Yeah. Well, it's case of that's Max Holloway is now like on a 13 fight win streak.
Yeah.
And just
he's fighting Conor next.
Really? Is that actually confirmed, or is that like?
I think maybe just a rumor.
Yeah. I think it's just a rumor. I don't know if Conor can make the cut anymore. Can Conor still make the cut to 145? When was the last time he fought 145?
I don't know. That's
probably a long time ago, and he's getting older and like now, and also like, he's got enough money for like cocaine and that, so he can probably like go on the crack weight loss scheme. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see that fight because Conor beat Max Holloway. That was probably the last. I'm guessing that was the last fight before Max Holloway's 13 fight win streak, but there's also all kinds of talk of Max Holloway moving up to 155 because he made the cut this time, but there were 2 previous occasions where the dude looked like he almost was killing himself to make 145 and his health was at risk. So maybe as fighters get older, the cuts do become harder, and especially with Holloway struggling a couple of times before the night, maybe there are rumours of him stepping up to 145, and that I think Dana White wants that because of the 2 times that he's bombed a weight cut or fights have lost headliners. Uncle Dana doesn't tend to like that too much, so I think maybe him and Conor at 155, that could be an interesting one to run it back. It would certainly, like, the UFC could print money off that, because outside of Conor, Max is probably one of the next biggest guys now in terms of like draw power.
Now, what do you think of their striking though? Do you think Conor has better striking than Max, or because he's a southpaw and that could be?
Yeah, you probably have to. Well, I would give Conor the edge if it wasn't for the fact that Conor's Conor's the one on.
But
the
Max's jiu-jitsu is pretty good, but Max's jiu-jitsu might be better than Conor's. His guillotines are fucking... Yeah.
I'd pick if that fight was happening next week, I'd pick Max right now. Yeah. Especially like how dare I like pick against someone who's on such a vicious win streak at the moment, considering like you have to kind of question the head. You can easily like question the headspace of the other opponent. Like, Max is focused and confident. Conor McGregor's like...
He's also a lot younger than McGregor, right? How old is Max?
I don't actually know off the top of my head. I wish I'd done sort of...
Shit.
Yeah, I think he's like... Yeah, in his 20s, like 20... Oh, no, he'd be older than that. Like, I thought he was 26 or something like that. Age. Yeah. So, I'd have to pick him now, especially like, Conor McGregor took that time out to like have a boxing match and then went all crazy with throwing. He's still... Conor McGregor's right now is too busy settling lawsuits to really train too hard, even after the Khabib fight. Yeah, so I'd have to... a really interesting fight is after Max won on Saturday, Tony Ferguson was like the first man to Twitter sort of attempting to like welcome him to the 155 division. He was like, let's do it, let's run it at 155, issue threw down. I think and he also in his tweet, I can't remember the exact words, but he basically like threw shade at Conor McGregor and Khabib as well. He was like, oh well, I think these two are both too scared and don't want a piece of me. So if they don't want a piece of me and I can't get those fights, then let's run this ourselves. So I don't know whether Tony really wants a piece of Max or whether he's using it to try and like lure Khabib or Conor into fights.
The UFC is so filled, so packed with like fucking trash talkers, and just shit talkers, and the sport of fighting attracts just a plethora of douchebags. Yeah. Right? There are like a few nice guys. Like usually in any sport or any field or any industry, it's mostly nice people. Yeah. And a few of them are douchebags. But in the fighting game, I feel like most of them are douchebags and a few nice. I think Brian Ortega might be one of the nice guys, and then the rest of them are all just.
Did you see like Ortega's little speech to Holloway like before the fight? Like it was a pre-fight press conference.
What happened again?
It was quite good. It was a nice touch. Like speaking of nice people in the fight game, like I can't even remember the question he got asked because all I saw was a clip of Ortega talking after he got asked the question.
What did he say?
But it was something about how how the last fight had to get postponed because of Holloway's health, and he just kind of took the time to sort of said to him something like, "Oh, we're going to put on a show on Saturday. I hope it's a good fight, but I also hope that he's healthy and ready because I don't want anything. He's got a family, he's got a kid. I don't want anything bad happening to him in the ring. I want him healthy and ready to go, and he's got to do the best for." And he's just basically showed him like a lot of respect, and like you could see Max in the footage like nodding and appreciating the respect instead of like the usual, "Oh, I'm going to kill him, I'm going to eat his children." He was like, we're here to entertain people.
I think if they were more respectful, the UFC would actually benefit from that. Yeah. If people weren't seeing the UFC as a fucking brawl, as a gladiator, no holds barred, no rules, no like lawless fucking spectacle, then more people would be, at least parents would be more okay with kids watching it and stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
it's actually to their benefit. I guess when you keep that shit on the DL.
I guess when you're trying to sell pay-per-views and you're not really trying to be a family business anyway. Like if you're another sport where it's on a cable channel, then maybe you're a family business. But when you're living off that pay-per-view model, then your target market is anyone old enough to have a credit card, as opposed to like. But then again, families can buy it to watch with the whole family. But yeah, I just from 2 points of view, like
Aren't martial artists supposed to be like even more disciplined and everything?
I prefer like the more respectful fighters myself, and I'll end up always pulling for them. But the other thing for me is that I don't want sort of like, you know, Conor McGregor kind of came in and started grabbing more mainstream attention, and then fighters just tried to become Conor McGregor clones. Like, I find that kind of stuff, I'm not against it, but I find it more interesting when it's not manufactured and it's kind of like the main
organic.
Yeah, exactly. But now, like, a bunch of fighters have been like, "Oh, Conor McGregor's getting attention. I've got to get attention too. I've got to get on pay-per-views." And yeah, it's a bit put on. But
yeah, I think his whole vibe is gonna die out with him.
Yeah.
You know, after he's gone, I don't think too many people are gonna try to emulate that anymore. Remember, like in the age of Fedor. Ankle. He just like goes on, doesn't say shit. Doesn't talk shit about anybody. Doesn't say anything. But comes in and destroys.
Yeah,
you know, that's kind of like the epitome of a UFC champ or like a martial artist, right? The pinnacle. Someone who just doesn't. Who's so confident that he doesn't need to trash talk. Exactly. A lot of the time, the trash talking comes from a place of insecurity.
Yeah, I think the general public's kind of starting to see through it as well, and it's not really sort of like, the less it makes an impact, the less people have like incentive to do it and become these trash talkers.
He's just becoming a reality TV star.
Yeah,
he's becoming He's his reality Conor show. You know? I'm just gonna be crazy to get.
Exactly. I saw like a headline the other day, like his coach is kind of hinting that he doesn't want to coach him anymore.
Which one?
Kavanagh.
Oh, okay.
Connor's coach Kavanagh.
Because Kavanagh's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Because he's actually, I've seen his interview with Joe Rogan. He's a thoughtful, analytical guy. Not like Dylan Dennis.
It's more to the point where like his coach is kind of like, it's going to be a really interesting fight. He's not ruling it out. He's more setting the stage to be. I think it's two things. Like, I think he's probably also fishing at Uncle Dana with this as well. He's kind of like, give us something interesting or else I'm out, because like he's sort of saying, Conor's making so much money from his whiskey now that he's earning more from his whiskey than he can with his next fight. So what's the point? And he's kind of like,
what about his clothing line?
Yeah, that too. But he's sort of saying, I'm not going to be there if Conor just wants to, like, you know, fight other randomly ranked fighters. But he's kind of like, you give me another Diaz fight where you let us run it back with Khabib or something. He's just kind of like, if it's an interesting fight and an interesting challenge, then I'm for him doing it, but there's almost no point at the stage of Conor's career with him just fighting like other
no names
or just other ranked fighters, which is kind of the perfect, it's in hindsight now that I think about it more, it's like the perfect angle to shoot, because of course right now they are sort of thinking, well, you know, it's probably time for someone else to challenge Khabib as opposed to a rematch, or like you know, he's kind of like, that's an interesting. He's like a bit like, give us something big money and worthwhile, or else we're out. And it's probably about the time that UFC is sort of thinking, well, who's going to be the next guy for Conor, and they're relying on Conor to sell it themselves. And I think Conor doesn't want to give any more fighters red panty nights, as he would say. So yeah, that's that for that news story.
Yeah. Do you have anything from home? Oh, you went back to New Zealand for a few.
Yeah, I was home for like a couple of weeks, or for a week. I forgot to mention. I was thinking I should address that at the top of the podcast, but you may as well close out with it. And a lot of my friends from New Zealand don't even know I was home, so some of them who listen to this might be finding out for the first time. Sorry if you're in that camp. Basically, I had like my grandma's not doing too good, so I had to shoot home, spend some time with her. She's basically one of my favorite people on the planet, regardless of family or not family. She's awesome and always been an amazing supporter and inspiration and source of strength for me. So I got to go home, spend some time with her, the family. Took my girlfriend home. She got to meet my grandparents and her in time for the first time, which was good because we're still kind of everything's been a bit up and down. I'm still kind of waiting on the result of some other tests, but But
do you guys have a big family? How many people in your like close?
Not exactly. No, like especially like on her side, my mum has already passed away. It's her, my granddad, me, and my uncle, and that's kind of it really in the immediate family on that side. So my uncle came home for a bit as well, and yeah, it was just kind of. Her mind is still completely there. It's just
what about your dad again?
Oh, my dad is like, this is my grandmother on my mum's side, and my dad's side of the family, he's one of 4 children, so it's a bit bigger on that side. And I saw some of that side of the family too, which is cool. And I caught up with a few friends, got my girlfriend to meet. Like, I didn't even put on Facebook that I was coming home because I knew I was going to be so busy with the family that I was kind of snuck in.
Yeah.
And I sent some of my friends private messages, and my girlfriend got to meet a few of my friends in the downtime we had. But yeah, so I mean, I don't really want to say too much more because my grandma's still hanging in there at the moment, and I've kind of made it a policy to not eulogize her. Well, like, I mean, all the stuff I've already said, I'd say to her regardless that I love her and that like she's one of my favorite people. But beyond that, I'm not going to eulogize someone who's still here. Yeah, so you know, it was good to see some of my friends, and it was really nice to have my girlfriend with me because it kind of gave me something apart from being in the hospital. Like, we'd spend a few hours in the hospital each day, sometimes as much as 5 or so, but then I'd be able to go show her some sights and some bits around the city. I really wanted to kind of take her to New Zealand and travel the whole country, but we stayed in just my city and went to a few of my favourite food spots, like went to Waiheke Island, which is amazing. It's like a short ferry ride away from the city, but it's kind of paradise, a half-hour ferry ride away. And ultimately, I also thought in the back of my head, like, my girlfriend, like, almost like twice a week before we went on this trip would always be like, when are we going to go to New Zealand? When are we going to go to New Zealand? And I'm like, 2020. And she's like, can we go sooner? Rah, rah, rah. Always on my back to go to New Zealand. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, this will finally get her to stop bugging me about visiting New Zealand. And like, now that we've been there, now she's bugging me about moving to New Zealand, and I'm like,
she wants to go there now.
Yeah. She's only visited, but I'm like, you haven't looked in the job market,
exactly.
You haven't looked at the houses, but
she's just thinking.
She's mainly doing it just to make fun of me and get a rise out of me. You know, I don't think she's actually serious. But I'm like, fuck. I've like
people who never like. Has she ever just uprooted her life and went
yeah she like moved from Canada and taught English in Japan for a long time, so she knows what it's about.
I was just gonna say, people need to think carefully about doing something like that.
Yeah, no, she's definitely walked the walk and talked the talk. So like, you know, that's what makes it even more dangerous for me that she's like, but I'm like, no, I'm chasing up this podcast thing, I'm going to be doing like classes at Second City. I'm going to be getting more into stand-up, but it's kind of like, now I have to be about all the stuff that I said I came here to be, or else she's going to be like, well, if you're not learning improv or not going to do stand-up, then we may as well just go back to New Zealand. I'm like, fuck, okay, I got to be about it.
Yeah.
So, grandma, grandpa, rest of the family, love you lots.
Peace.
And rest of the audience, I kind of just like you guys, but thank you for watching.
Subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe, like us, tell your friends. Os.